Thank you all for joining today. My name is Erin Boyd. I'm part of the Kubernetes SIG Storage team, and we have organized a Kubernetes onboarding initiative for SIG Storage in order to help people get more involved and understand key aspects of storage. Today, Saad Ali from Google will be presenting on Kubernetes SIG Storage 101.
All right, thanks, Erin. Can I share my screen, or are you going to continue to drive?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, so this meeting is just to give you a quick intro to the storage SIG. The three questions that I'm going to answer today are who we are, what we do, and how you can get involved. So let's jump right into it. Who is SIG Storage? We are a group of contributors that are responsible for the storage and volume subsystem of Kubernetes. In particular, this group is responsible for ensuring that file and block storage, whether ephemeral or persistent, local or remote, is available wherever a container is scheduled within Kubernetes. Ephemeral storage in this case is storage that has a life cycle tied to a particular pod. This is things like empty dir, things that are built on top of empty dir, like secret volumes, downward API volumes, config map volumes. And then persistent storage can be remote or local. Remote storage is NFS, GC persistent disks, Gluster, Ceph, and there's a long list. And then, of course, now, as of last quarter, we support local persistent storage so that storage from the local machine can be used to back your persistent workloads. So our team is responsible for making sure that those volumes are able to attach, mount, unmount, detach, provision, delete whenever your workload requests them, wherever your workload happens to land. And then we're also responsible for storage capacity management. So for ephemeral storage, making sure that your container doesn't eat up all the disk space from the local machine by writing everything into its overlay FS or an empty dir. And also we're responsible for things like resizing volumes, and we're working on things like snapshotting volumes. We're also involved with the scheduler because storage is another resource like CPU and memory. And so part of our team works on basically influencing scheduling to ensure that where your pods land makes sense for storage. This could be one of two ways. One is based on where your storage is available, make sure that pods land on those nodes. Or in the future, we're going to try to actually influence where volumes are provisioned so that we can provision them where they're needed most and where it makes sense for based on the availability within the cluster of resources. So some notable examples of features that we own are persistent volume claims and persistent volumes. These are Kubernetes API objects you've probably heard of. We are responsible for dynamic provisioning and the storage class API objects that enable dynamic provisioning. We are responsible for all the Kubernetes volume plugins you've probably heard of, whether they're empty dir, GCPD, VM, vSphere, Portworx. There's a ton of these volume plugins. We are responsible for all of them. Recently, we've started a new initiative called the Container Storage Interface, where we're trying to come up with a standard that will allow volume plugins to be plugged in externally to Kubernetes rather than be baked into the core Kubernetes libraries. A lot of folks from this SIG work on that. And then the ephemeral volumes that we discussed earlier and a lot more. The team page here is where you want to go if you're interested in learning more about what we do, as well as how to get involved. And this group is made up of a very diverse group of folks from a bunch of different backgrounds. Number of different companies involved, some affiliated with companies, some not affiliated with companies. It's a very, very large group. On our bi-weekly meetings, we tend to get something like 30 to 50 people that'll show up regularly. All right, so moving along to what SIG Storage does, it'll boil down to a handful of things. One is code features. Obviously, we're here to contribute to the Kubernetes code base and make sure that storage is easy to use wherever your containers are happen to land. We also write tests. This is something that's very important for ensuring high quality, reliable system that so many people depend on now. And we need to ensure that moving forward, we have enough test coverage to prevent regressions and maintain a very high quality bar. And Erin's going to talk about that at a later point. Fixing bugs. There's a ton of bugs that are always rolling in, and our team is responsible for anything related to the features that we work on. We meet virtually every 2 weeks. By virtually, I mean a video conference on Zoom. And then every now and then we'll hold a face-to-face meeting, which is used to discuss larger issues that require possibly a couple of days of face-to-face time to kind of drive to conclusion. We've noticed that these face-to-face meetings also help make the group feel more like a community. When you get to meet people, it brings a different vibe to the community. And then finally, we help each other over a bunch of different channels, primarily Slack and Google Groups. The links are there. I'll share this slide deck out for those who want to click through. Next question is, how do I get involved with Storage SIG? So again, the starting point is the SIG Storage homepage. Go there. That'll have all the information that you need. Like I mentioned, we have meetings every 2 weeks at 9 a.m. Pacific time every second Thursday. It's a Zoom meeting. You can attend from anywhere you are. You can just listen in if you want. If there's something that you want to discuss during that meeting, please feel free to edit the agenda doc and put in your name with a quick, short description of what you want to talk about. And we'll make sure to find time to discuss that during the meeting. And familiarize yourself with the code base. I think what I've learned is the best way to get yourself familiar with a large code base is just start from the main method and start walking through it. Read through the code, run it with a debugger, just take a look at what it's doing. That's probably the best place you can start. And once you've done that, I suggest maybe picking up a bug and trying to fix it. No better way to learn a system than trying to figure out something that's broken and help fix it. I checked yesterday and there were, excuse me, 238 open bugs for SIG storage. This is compared to, I think, 2,000 something closed bugs, so relatively not as large as how many we've solved, but there's still a number that are open. And if you're interested in helping, this is a great place to start. Go take a look at those, and if there's any bug that interests you, go ahead and assign yourself, and if you need help, reach out to folks on Slack on the SIG storage channel, and we'd be happy to help you with that. And help us write tests. I think we have such a huge code base with so many different features and so many different volume plugins. We have a very, very large matrix of tests that need to be written, and honestly, we don't have as much coverage as we should. So we're always looking for help for improving this coverage, writing new tests. If you're interested in helping out with that, send a message to SIG Storage or Erin Boyd, and we can point you in the right direction. And then finally, what everybody wants to do is help write features, and you're absolutely welcome to do that. The way that this works is SIG Storage holds quarterly planning sessions, usually at the beginning of the quarter. About 2 weeks ago, we had the planning session for Q2 2018. We create a list of features that the SIG wants to work on in this planning spreadsheet that's linked here. and we do assignments of work, and that's kind of the point at which we'll request folks who are interested in developing features to step forward and take ownership of a feature. And then every SIG storage meeting every 2 weeks, we'll go over this spreadsheet and get status updates for folks who are working on these features. But you still have opportunities during the quarter to jump in and help. Sometimes you'll have features where somebody needs help. They can't take it on all by themselves, so there'll be calls for volunteers, so you can listen for that if you're interested in helping in the middle of the quarter. And sometimes we'll even have new items pop in during the middle of the quarter, large bug fixes, which are almost like features, things like that. And all the features that we work on in SIG storage, we keep track of it in the spreadsheet, but ultimately they have to be tracked in the features repository under Kubernetes/features, linked at the bottom there. The purpose of this is so that the larger Kubernetes community can keep track of the work that we're doing and make sure that we're following the proper process. Just writing the code is not sufficient for getting a feature out the door. You have to make sure you have tests, make sure you have feature gates, make sure that you write documentation, make sure there are release notes. There's a long laundry list of things that we need to be aware of, and part of the process for ensuring that happens is making sure that there's a Kubernetes feature issue tracking the feature that you're working on. And that's all I have. So please come join us at the Storage SIG. Follow this link. It'll have all the information that you need to get started. And I'll open it up to any questions anybody might have.
Yes, what channel should we use to communicate in Kubernetes? Slack.com?
Yeah, so if you follow the homepage over here, there will be a link to the Kubernetes SIG storage Slack channel, and you can sign up from there.
What do you think is the best way to communicate? Through email, through the Slack?
I think it depends on the nature of the question. If it's something quick and short where you just need an answer for how does this work, I find Slack to be the best way to get an answer. If something requires larger discussion, I feel like the Google Group mailing list tends to be a better forum because it allows for collaboration and folks to jump in at a later time and look at the thread. But you know, you can try it yourself and see whatever works best for you.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to the Storage SIG or any of the veteran community members. We'd be happy to help you on board.
Thanks, everyone. And as a reminder, this recording will be published for YouTube as well as the slides out to the community. Have a great day.